Good evening, Midlands. A happy Saturday to you. It turned into a very active and stormy afternoon here as we had those rounds of strong to severe storms push in that produced some very intense downpours for portions of the Midlands, especially North Richland County from about the two-notch area to Blythewood. Just got hammered by 4 to 6 inches of rain that led to some flooding throughout the region in those locations. The rest of us had some stronger storms at times. Now most of that's beginning to push off to the east, but let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. So a first alert weather day remains in place for the rest of tonight, tomorrow, and now also Tuesday due to the possibility for some flooding rain. As we saw today, strong downpours could lead to those flash flooding concerns throughout the area as now the ground starting to get a little bit wet, can't quite absorb it as much as it was able to before. But let's go ahead and take a look at the current radar. Excuse me. The worst of the storms now beginning to make their way off to the east from about Sumter down to St. Matthews and Orangeburg. Beginning to see things, though, come to an end here across much of Richland County, but we got a few more light showers. You can see back towards Aiken that could try to move in a little bit later on, but the worst of it, as mentioned, continues to be from Sumter to Maysville and just to the east of Bishopville, and we'll be heading towards the Florence, Tuberville area here very shortly with some very heavy rain, and you can see all that lightning associated with it. Good news is there's no new warnings with this, so we're not expecting the extreme wind gusts, just going to be those typical kind of summertime intense downpours that will last for 20-30 minutes before then working their way off to the east. Does look like we have a new warning for this cell down to our south that includes just to the south of Orangeburg for that ball of lightning that you see just to the south of town that's going to be moving to the east at about 25 to 30 miles an hour. Could see some wind gusts with that up to 60 miles per hour, along with some very intense downpours that could lead to some flooding that extends up towards Cameron, Lone Star, and heading towards Somerton here very shortly. So for portions of the Midlands, still dealing with some pretty active weather. But as mentioned, look at some of these impressive rainfall amounts in northern Richland County into southern Fairfield and Kershaw County. And you can see that swath of about 4 to 5 inches includes just to the south of Blythewood over to the east. The rest of them easily saw 2 to 4 inches of rain, but we got some impressive video out of the Blythewood area, some flooding that was occurring due to the heaviest rains in those spots. So that was the bullseye that got hit by the heaviest rains earlier this afternoon that did lead to some flash flooding along the roadways. So just trying to keep that in mind. Remember, if you see flooded roadways, good idea to just maybe turn around and find a different way. So for tonight, we'll keep some of those thunderstorms out there early, but most of it should be wrapping up by midnight, 72 for that overnight low. And then tomorrow, you can see we'll keep the chance for some scattered showers on and off throughout the day. Temperatures, though, not going to be quite as hot. We'll only make it into the mid to upper 80s for highs. So Futurecast shows the rain beginning to push away to the east later on the night, although a stray shower or two can't be ruled out overnight, but I don't think it'll be quite as heavy or as strong, but still could have some decent showers through the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. We'll maybe get a little bit of a break through the first half of our Sunday, but as we get into Sunday afternoon, especially closer to lunch and dinner time, that's when we could have another wave of some showers and thunderstorms pop up that could lead to some of that flash flooding, especially if you get under one of those heavier downpours that sticks around for a little bit. So just keep that in mind. And more or less the same heading into Monday. A little drier to start the day, but then we are going to be watching for some rounds of storms in the afternoon. This will be the beginning of some of that moisture from Tropical Storm Debby now beginning to get closer to the Midlands. So let's take a look at Tropical Storm Debby. It formed around 5 o'clock this evening with winds now up to 40 miles per hour. And you can see it's starting to get much more organized as that center of low pressure is getting over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, producing heavy showers across portions of Cuba and the southern tip of the Florida. That we'll be watching over the coming days. So we are expecting, as it stays out over the warm waters of the Gulf, to slowly strengthen throughout the day tomorrow into a strong tropical storm and could then even be a Category 1 hurricane by the time it makes landfall near the Big Bend of Florida come sometime Monday late morning, afternoon with winds 75 to 80 miles per hour. It'll then track across Georgia and get back into the Atlantic as a slow-moving system for the middle part of upcoming next week and kind of just linger around the South Carolina coast, and that's going to lead to those flooding concerns across the state. So let's take a look at our Futurecast showing the low lifting into the Gulf of Mexico, beginning to strengthen with the heaviest rains hammering Florida on Sunday. that moisture plume then begins to move north, and we'll start to get some of those outer bands pushing into South Carolina come Monday afternoon. And then with it just sticking around, we're just going to have persistent rain showers with us for our Tuesday, Wednesday, even into Thursday. Going to be looking at rounds of showers and thunderstorms. It's not until Friday that it finally starts to lift to the north, but you can see still looking at a good chance for some wraparound showers. So we're looking at about 5 to 6 days of just persistent daily rain showers here in the Midlands. And as the ground gets saturated, flooding is going to be a major concern. So let's take a look at the projected rainfall totals over the next 7 days. And from Hilton Head to Charleston up to Myrtle Beach, especially along the coast, that's where we're looking at the most impressive rainfall amounts. 10 to 15 inches. Up towards the PD, maybe 7 to 10 inches. While here in the Midlands, we could see about 3 to 7 inches of rain. So yes, definitely think some areas are going to be dealing with flooding as Debby begins to make its way towards the Palmetto State as we get into next week. So your first alert 10-day forecast shows first alert weather day again tomorrow for the possibility for some flooding rains in the afternoon. Maybe not as numerous for our Monday, but Tuesday looks to be a fairly wet day with persistent rain throughout most of the day. 1 to 3 inches alone could be possible on Tuesday, so that's why Tuesday is also a first alert weather day. But you see rain chances stay high, up around 60-70% for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as Debby continues to just churn over the state, giving us just more of those waves of showers and thunderstorms throughout the day that could lead to some flooding. Maybe by next weekend we finally start to dry out a little bit, but then temperatures do start to climb as we get back into the 90s by the following work week. But because of the daily rain showers, it does look like we'll stay a little bit cooler for the upcoming work week with highs likely in the 80s. You can head over to our website and see the latest articles, not only about what we're expecting in the near term, but also talking about Tropical Storm Debby and its impacts that it could have locally here across South Carolina. So those are 2 great articles to check out if you want to see everything as far as the weather's concerned over the coming days, as it is going to be very active here, and you're definitely going to want to stay weather aware. So make sure you head over to WISTV.com for all the latest.